A new Wordle puzzle is online. Click on the link to play.
Listening to the following video may give you clues. Please like and share the videos.
Virgin Atlantic turns around flight after realizing pilots not qualified to fly. As a result of this training error, Virgin Atlantic turned around the flight and rehired a new pilot, citing rostering error.
The airline's training protocols are stricter than industry standards. However, passengers were forced to wait for the replacement co-pilot and not compensated for the delay.
As a result of the flight's cancellation and delay, passengers are left without a seat on the plane for several hours, which is more than enough time to get a replacement. Virgin Atlantic blames rostering error.
A Virgin Atlantic flight headed to New York from London Heathrow has been forced to turn around during its mid-flight due to a crew member's inability to complete the final assessment. The flight was already 40 minutes into its journey when it discovered that there had been a rostering error.
The crew member had joined the airline in 2017 and had not yet completed his final flying assessment. Virgin Atlantic has apologized for the incident, which halted the flight for over 3 hours.
The airline blamed the incident on a rostering error and has changed the officer to check that compliance was met. The flight then managed to renew and eventually arrived at JFK 2 hours and 40 minutes late.
The airline said it had reviewed its internal processes and revised its rostering procedures to ensure such errors never happen again. The airline apologized to passengers for any inconvenience caused by the incident and will work to improve the system to prevent similar incidents in the future.
Virgin Atlantic has apologized for the mistake, citing the rostering error as the reason for the return of Flight 3 to Heathrow. The airline says the flight was turned around because the captain had not been designated as a trainer and paired with a pilot who did not have trainer status.
The airline has said that the pairing was not in compliance with its internal training protocols, but has apologized to passengers and refunded the ticket. Another error that Virgin Atlantic blamed for turning around Flight VS3 is the pilot not passing the final assessment flight.
It was discovered about 40 minutes after takeoff that the co-pilot was not qualified to fly. Although he was fully licensed to operate an aircraft, he had not completed the ultimate review flight.
This is a common mistake, and Virgin Atlantic has apologized and said it has changed the pilot's rostering policy. Pilots not qualified to fly.
A flight operated by Virgin Atlantic turned around 30 minutes after takeoff from Heathrow after the captain discovered that the co-pilot did not have the correct qualification to fly the plane. The flight's captain is a fully licensed pilot, but did not have designated trainer status.
In addition, the first officer was not a designated trainer, and was not permitted to fly alongside the captain. The airline says that the pairing did not meet internal training procedures and that it is working to address the problem.
The incident took place just before the plane took off from Heathrow on Monday morning. The plane departed from Heathrow at 9:40 a.m. and was above Ireland when the pilots decided to turn around.
The plane landed at Heathrow at 10:19 a.m., 2 hours and 40 minutes later than the planned time. Fortunately, the passengers did not suffer any ill effects, but it is an unfortunate story that will not be forgotten in the Virgin Atlantic's history.
The airline apologized for the mistake and assured passengers the flight would continue. Despite the situation, Virgin Atlantic will not make a habit of turning around flights when pilots are not qualified to fly.
A spokesperson for the airline explained that the first officer had logged thousands of hours of flying experience, but had not completed his final assessment flight, a requirement under UK aviation regulations. The airline is not the only one facing similar problems.
Delta Airlines, which is Virgin Atlantic's 49% minority owner, also faced similar problems. The airline subsequently fired hundreds of staff, including many pilots, and is now attempting to catch up with growing demand.
It is also unable to cope with the sudden snap-back in demand that the airline faced during the pandemic. Maintenance issue.
The latest airline disaster was the turnaround of a Virgin Atlantic flight that originated from London and headed to New York. The airline, which is owned by Delta Airlines, apologized to passengers and promised to fix the problem quickly.
But this latest incident has passengers fuming. What caused the crew to mess up the aircraft's maintenance? This issue reveals the broader problem of staffing.
This latest incident has led to a review of the airline's internal processes and the introduction of a new training program. While the flight was about 40 minutes out of its New York destination, when Virgin Atlantic managers realized there was a problem with its first officer's qualification for the flight, the first officer was not a designated pilot.
As a result, the first officer couldn't operate the aircraft with the captain. The flight, however, turned back to Heathrow, where all passengers were safely deposited.
As the airline explains, the crew's inexperienced pilots were the cause of the flight's turnaround. Flight 3 returned to Heathrow after an hour-long delay.
The pilots were replaced by another flight crew, and the aircraft landed safely at Heathrow in just over 2 hours. A Virgin Atlantic spokesperson said the problem was due to an error with the pairing of the crew members, which is not compliant with their internal training protocols.
The company replaced the first officer with a more experienced captain and a qualified first officer. The airline has stringent training requirements that far exceed industry standards.
However, this incident is still disappointing for the airline and its customers. The airline has also vowed to never allow a similar situation to happen again.
But the pilots were not qualified for maintenance, which may have been due to a lack of training. Medical emergency.
Virgin Atlantic Flight VS3 returned to Heathrow after managers realized the co-pilot did not pass his final assessment and periodic flying tests. The flight was 40 minutes into its journey when it decided to turn back to the airport in order to bring the passengers safely to Heathrow.
While the plane was in the air, it was over Ireland when it decided to turn around. Plane's crew members were replaced with new pilots after Virgin Atlantic's management discovered the first officer's lack of training.
The first officer, though a fully licensed pilot, did not have the designation of designated trainer, which meant the two pilots could not operate the aircraft together. The crew of VS3 had been retrained by Virgin Atlantic's internal training protocol, but the incident has prompted some passengers to question the airline's safety policies.
A Virgin Atlantic spokesperson confirmed the airline turned around the flight mid-flight after realizing the first officer had not passed his final evaluation and wasn't qualified for a medical emergency. The flight had departed from Heathrow Airport in London on Monday, and it turned back to London Heathrow a few hours after takeoff.
Virgin Atlantic requires pilots to pass their final flying test before they can fly the plane, and the first officer had joined the company in 2017 but hadn't completed the airline's internal final assessment flight. The airline isn't the only one affected by the crisis.
Virgin Atlantic has not cancelled mass flights during the Easter holiday, and the company is managing its schedule with its current staffing levels. Still, the company must continue to follow its meticulous scheduling process in order to prevent further incidents like VS3.
After the mistake, Virgin Atlantic immediately replaced the first officer with a qualified and experienced captain. As part of Virgin Atlantic's rigorous training standards, it replaced the pilots with more experienced crew.
The airline also offers insider notifications. The close icon closes the interaction and dismisses the notification.
In the meantime, it has apologized to passengers and promised to investigate the incident. So, the next time you fly, make sure you have your doctor's number handy.